Okay, come into the room, 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 come into the room. Okay, come into the room. Welcome. I'm back. Okay, cams up. Cams up. Okay, it's not a problem. What's up, you guys? So I thought that I was going to be going out tonight. So I was like, let me get ready. And then I was like, oh, I'll go live before I go out. Then plans changed and we're going to be going out this weekend instead. So I was like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Don't waste the pretty. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for being here. I am DanieSteel. There's a lot going on. Okay, I told you guys before, I try to hide these dolls from you, but I have a doll collection, as you can see, okay? And that's actually carrying in tradition of the women that came before me. I have several older family members that have doll collections. When I was growing up, I loved their doll collections. The doll collections were not extensively Black dolls, and I wanted to have a Black doll / toy collection. So I do. I have one. Let's see what I have here. Winston from Us. I got his bobblehead. Oh, I don't know. I mean, bobblehead-ish, So, and then of course I also have Princess Tiana bobblehead. Okay, and I got some other characters from Black Panther here. So, yeah. That's my little doll collection that I've shown you guys many times before, and it grows and grows. At this point, I don't even have adequate space for, all the Barbies and different various dolls that I have collected over the years. Let's get into the red flags of toxic masculinity, okay? I think growing up under the guidance of my great-grandmother, who did not tolerate fools and did not tolerate toxic masculinity, right? One of the reasons, and I kind of just realized that right now, one of the reasons why anyone that knows me knows I absolutely love my great-grandmother. She's passed, but I absolutely love my great-grandmother, always have, always will. She's the woman that I am today is because of her, right? I just realized one of the reasons that I felt so safe in her home was that she didn't tolerate the toxic masculinity. She didn't tolerate the toxic cultural norms that almost everyone else tolerates, right? And she even had a sign in her house that was like, no smoking, right? So she had very, you know what I'm saying? Clear rules about as to how you were to behave if you were going to be around her, point blank period, because you in her home. And that's the same way I treat my channel. You're in my home. It's going to be respect. You know what I'm saying? So I always felt so safe at my great-grandmother's house. And I felt very unsafe in most other places when it came to the hood, And I think that a large part of that is because, again, my great-grandmother didn't tolerate toxic masculinity. There was never, in the 19 years that I was blessed to spend with my great-grandmother, there was never one toxic male in her home. You know what I'm saying? And so you grow up and, well, some people just get older. I get wiser. I get more mature. So, I was kind of a sleuth, if you will. I wanted to solve questions that I had that no one else wanted to look into, right? And, you know, you get older and you realize people had you around petties. I call them petties, pedos, right? People have you around pedos. People have you around molesters, men that have committed DV. And you realize, like, damn, like, and I always felt this like negative energy from you. Like you really didn't give a, and the truth is you don't. To expose me, to have me around these shady characters, right? So to realize that my great grandmother had never, ever had not one of these shady characters in her home. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me all the more just want to be a better person. Just want to, like, for people to be like, you know, Kitten Scamules, he loves to be like, your great grandmamas, because he can't use himself as an example, right? And don't try to take part of my video and be like, she said this. Like, what? Don't put me in that hood rat ish. That's hood rat ish. But he loves to shame, and I'm gonna get into men shaming women, right? He loves to shame Black women about how your grandmamas did it better and they were ready to do the work, right? And it's like, because you can't use yourself as an example because you ain't do none of this that you're talking about, right? So yes, I'm very grateful for my great grandmother. She laid the foundation for the Purple Prince series here on this channel, for who I am, all of that good stuff. So don't tell me that our grandmothers were just a bunch of women willing to put up with BS. Don't tell me that, bruh. Okay. Let's get into these red flags of toxic masculinity. I've got 5. If you want to see more, and definitely a more in-depth video, I have that on my Patreon. The links are available. They should be available below, and if not, certainly in my about section on my channel if you're looking for the Patreon. Okay, would love to have you over there. We keep it classy. Okay. Red flags of toxic masculinity. You know, and people will be like, she said they keep it classy. She thinks she better. Like, y'all gotta really just chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people are doing something that I'm not doing, I don't think that they're trying to be better than me. It's very interesting, right? I can't name, look. Okay? I encounter people all the time that I am aware they think they're better than me because I can feel their nasty little aura, right? That don't faze me. But there's, you know, again, there's this dialogue on here, right? That's like, she thinks she all that because she got a degree and she married. And people got to live their life, you know? I grew up through the 90s crack cocaine epidemic. I grew up through foster care. I don't think that I'm better than people because I went on to get my undergraduate degree and graduate degree and happily married. I didn't do that stuff because I think I'm better than people. That's just my life path. I want y'all to understand that. That's just my life path. I don't think marriage is for everyone. I don't think that you should be having kids being like, marriage isn't for everyone. Like, you got to hold dudes accountable. A lot of women want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, they want to, oh, what's up? Melanie Sunshine's in the room. Hello, beautiful. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. Okay. So, you know, a lot of women, they just don't want to hold men accountable. And so they want to hold other women accountable for things like, you should be holding your man accountable for, sis. Why are you angry at me? I don't know you. I didn't do anything to you, right? But especially when it comes to Black women, especially when it comes to dark-skinned Black women, to be constantly shamed about achieving positive things. You think you're all that because you have an education. You think you're all that because you're married. I mean, shouldn't people feel good about things that they accomplish? Right? Because, you know, as soon as somebody come out of jail, it's, oh, well, when you get out. When you get out. They can't wait. It's a party. I remember all the parties growing up for everybody that was getting out of jail. What are you talking about? Okay, so let's get to these red flags. The reason I use that picture of Brian, the alleged perpetrator in the murder of his name, Gabby Papito, is because this case, right? And if you listen to my channel, you may be aware that I'm kind of into the crime scene stuff, right? Like one of my favorite channels to watch, one of me and my husband's favorite channels to watch at night. And my husband's like, why do women like watching crime scene shows at night? And I'm like, I don't know. But one of our favorite YouTube channels is That Chapter, okay? Hi, my name is Mike. This cute little Irish guy. I don't know if he's Irish or Scottish. I think he's Irish. Hi, my name is Mike. And anyway, he's got this crime channel. You know what I did notice? Mike comes on and he can make jokes throughout his show, right? It's always a murder mystery, right? But he can make jokes throughout, right? And be like joking and having a good time with his audience, right? But I noticed that when Leah Gordon does anything, shout out to Leah Gordon. Shout out to Leah Gordon, who for years has been putting a spotlight on femicide of Black women. We also know femicide is a major problem with Native American women and Hispanic women as well. And South America has a large femicide problem, right? Leah Gordon has really done a lot of work for y'all. And y'all be in the comments trying to tell her what to do. That's what you can't do over here. I remember when I first made my show, you know, it was the DK show. And I changed the opening credits music, right? And people were like, don't change the opening credits music. I love the opening credit. I don't care what you love. I gotta be me. Gotta do what's best for me. Hello? I got to. Or else what do I look like coming on here telling y'all to keep doing what's best for y'all? It don't add up. All right? Of course, I probably should have kept the opening theme song and just kept doing it that way because it was a very kind of Kelly Stamps-esque way of doing things, you know, and Trayvon Martin happened, right? And I know Black content creators who, personally, okay, who are committed to making content for Black people because they can't get over these things, you know? And for many years, that's what I did here on this channel. I didn't talk about the dating stuff. Y'all wasn't checking for that? Keeping it real with DanieSteel? Check out all those videos. I literally, like, me and my husband, like, parted ways creating this channel. And I was like, no, I got to talk about these issues. Wasn't nobody here for that. All right? All right? Always remember that. Always remember that. So, red flags to toxic masculinity. My world. Hello, my world. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. And I started following your channel. I love your videos. So If you guys have a channel as well, let me know. I'll be happy to follow you back. Okay, I strongly believe in supporting other content creators. I strongly believe in that. What's wrong with that? Right? My World has a channel where she talks about a lot of these issues too. So go ahead and check her out and subscribe to her channel. So these red flags of toxic masculinity, we finally gonna get into it. Okay. I've been on some dates. You know, and there were a few dates where I realized I'm in the presence of an unhinged, toxic, scary individual. Right? And that's why I used the Gabby Papito boyfriend, Brian Linguini, Brian Laundry, because I just feel like when you're a woman, it's so hard to discern if a guy is a good guy, right? It just is. And again, right, when we're talking about this case particularly, okay, I saw the arrest video, okay, where the cops came over, the body cam video, okay, I don't think either one of them were arrested, but I saw the body cam video because they released that of when the two of them got into a fight, okay, and they're doing this van life thing. And, you know, I was telling my husband about this case, and he was like, oh my goodness, like they're living with each other during this time period, right? During this pandemic in a van, in a tiny enclosed space. And, you know, and this is not a shade to young men. It's just an acknowledgement that young men have a very different view of life than older men. Young men have a very different view of life than men who make it into maturity. A lot of young men don't, because young men have a very different view of life. And they think that they can get away with things, right? And that there's definitely an impulsiveness, a need for instant gratification, and an impulsivity with young people in general, okay? But when you're dealing with younger men, you got to be aware of that, right? I've told you guys a story about these three teenage boys. I mean, they look to be in their late teens, who, you know, basically tried to approach, assault, whatever they were trying to do. They failed, because I was out of there. I ran the hell on out of there, right? But I've been in situations where I had to assess, especially when you're living in New York, right? That instance happened in Newark. I've lived in New York, the tri-state area. When you're living in these situations, understanding that giggity fucking text message, young men, right? They don't put a lot of thought into things. Those three young men that almost, I'm no doubt, would have robbed me and or assaulted me, or worse, as I ran in the night in front of a bus for help, right? Then when they were in their 40s, they'd be like, oh, that was so stupid. I regret doing that. But when they're young, they're not thinking that. This is why I don't encourage dating early. I just don't encourage it. I waited a long time to start dating. I waited until I waited until I graduated with my undergraduate degree. I waited until I had something in my pocket for myself. You know, and they said, your degree, what does your degree get you? It gets you a job, get you other connections, it gets you a lot of things. So hush. It's a bunch of people who don't have degrees telling y'all, what does a degree get you? It gets you a lot. It gets you a lot. Okay. I was not willing to date. I wasn't willing to. Okay. Because I understand that a lot of times the cost of dating, see, these dudes don't want to pay for a meal. The cost of dating and the cost of relationships falls on the woman. I realized that early in my life before I started dating, by observing other people, by observing Black women in the 90s in the hood. No, I wasn't willing to do it, you know? And so they're in this van. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get tired of people. Then you don't have the access to do a lot of the things that you could have done before the pandemic. You know how many people divorced during this pandemic? There were so many divorces. So many. This has been a very tough time. Tough time to be a couple. And being a young couple, right, with volatility in the relationship, it's very scary, right? So if you see the body cam footage of when they found Gabby and Brian, the cops came up to them because they were arguing. He had scratches on his face. She wasn't, appreciate you, my world. Hey, ROA. All right. Hi, Undefined Artist. Good to see you. You know, and we had a rough patch over here, and then we got closer, you know. But that first year, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was rough. Because we've never been around each other that much, you know, like besides being on vacation, right? Like, it was rough. It was rough. And a large part of that roughness is what I'm going to talk about when it comes to this toxic masculinity stuff, right? Which is how men just, and I've talked about it a million times on the channel, they don't understand women. They're not told that they have to understand women. And so you basically just have to accept what's happening, right? Because men are like, I don't know what to do. I can't change. I can't do anything for you, you know? It just got to a point where I was like, you know what? You got to start caring about how I feel about things too. I don't know what to tell you, you know? So my husband had a lot of realizations, you know, like he really was like, wow, like I'm not really doing that, you know? So it was an interesting time. We've definitely been in a much better place this year. But yeah, you know, it was rough. And it's, like I said, it's been rough for a lot of people. And I think about this young couple, you know, in a van, the pressure of doing YouTube, being a YouTuber, and whatever he's got to do to support and provide. There's gonna be, you know, and they both have parents, they both have families that they could have left each other and went back to their families. So that's something you should definitely do early on before things get to physicality. You know, if you have someone to go live with, you should go live with them. You should part ways and not live with someone that, you know, is going to put their hands on you, right? Or be aggressive physically. It reinforced that I made a great decision choosing mates. You know what? Absolutely. And I tell you, when it was rough, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Right. And then you just get to a point, well, like I said, I don't put up with much. So it's like, you're going to have to catch on. Right. And I'm understanding that a lot of the issues, the miscommunication that we've had in my relationship is because of men and women dynamics just being different. And men and women are different. They think differently. They have different expectations and different circumstances. You combine that with all the ways that me and my husband are different, you know. It's a lot of work. I tell y'all, it's a lot of work maintaining a marriage, right? So you better make sure that the person that you're choosing is deserving of all of this effort and energy that you're going to be giving, right? I remember people talking about the scratch and saying she was abusive, but I don't know. I think there's more to the story. You know what? I talk about this in one of my 5 points of red flags, right? I'll just jump to it now. I don't care. Okay. Men are rough. Rough McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 646, whatever. Men are rough. So it's so funny to me when you see these pick-me's being like, you can't yell at them, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. Men are rough. And they don't get softer for women. They don't get softer to interact with you. You just have to be soft when men are rough McGruff. No, I'm gonna give you what you're giving me. I'm gonna give you what you're giving me. It just is what it is, you know. And I did the give softness, you know. They don't respect that. They don't change for that. They don't care about that. So, there's a way that a man can approach you where you feel fear, right? There are women who, if a guy is holding them, right, holding them down or holding them strongly, they're going to react, you know, aggressively because they're feeling assaulted. A lot of people do this when they are restrained by police, right? When people say don't resist. And it's like, it's human nature to resist someone trying to like hold you back or hold you down or whatever. It's human nature. So that's why you know, men just have to understand that they're never to engage women physically. And this is something that men just, you know, I thought it was more clear, as Kevin Samuels likes to say, back with your granddaddy, right? I thought it was more clear for these men. But today, guys want to say, hey, if you want equality in school and in banks, then all bets are off. And you're a guy, right? It's like they don't get it at all. Like, you're a man, you're to walk away from a woman if she's being irate. You're not to engage. You're to de-escalate it. right? Because you don't have the estrogen that she has. So you shouldn't have a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, for men to engage women in argument to the point where they're blowing up with each other and it's getting physical. How can a woman submit to that? Because that's both very, it's very toxic energy. You know, I think of masculine energy as positive. So for a man to get into an argument with a woman and allow things to escalate to the point of physicality, I don't see anything masculine about that, right? So men are rough, and you don't know what women. There are things that women will put up with. Nobody knew what was happening to Tina Turner. You know what I'm saying? There are things that women will put up with and then tell people that ask if she's okay, you know, yeah, I'm just upset about this or that. You know what I'm saying? So men are so proud to be strong. Take accountability for that strength. Take accountability for the disproportionate strength that you have when it comes to arguing and accosting people, right? And you see less and less of that accountability. It's kind of scary. Absolutely. I think that talking about the red flags of toxic masculinity, this can help anyone. Okay. No matter who you are and what type of relationship that you're in, because these are just things to watch out for when it comes to people in general. Okay. I believe a lot of the toxic masculinity that we see online, that we see in spaces like this today, is because social media allows us to have conversations with one another, where women have really, had conversations like this, where we've broken down to other women, right? To each other. Like, look, this is things to watch out for. Because there's a lot of content like this out there, these guys want to, we got a, Rel, what's up, Rel? Appreciate you, Rel. Wow, for real. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat, Rel. Appreciate that. Because of these conversations that we're having, we see the Kevin Samuels content and the Manosphere content and this content that's constantly telling women to be ashamed for getting an education, right? For be ashamed for wanting hypergamy, right? The reason that they're putting these tactics out there is because they still want an uneven playing field where they get the majority of the benefit when it comes to romantic, intimate, sexual relationships. So that's why you see all of the content that they put out there. Absolute garbage, absolute lies, because they know that there are people out there that are exposing the ways that they've gotten over on taking advantage of women who didn't know any better, right? When I think of Gabby Pepito, I was rooting for her to be found. I'm always rooting for missing people to be found. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm constantly sharing stories about missing people, missing women, missing Black women, missing Native women, missing Hispanic women. I'm constantly just trying to help with that, right? Doing anything I can. So I was rooting for Gabby. She's a young girl. you know? And again, I've had dates, I've had encounters where I was like, this feels scary, right? I'm in the presence of a scary individual here, a scary guy. I watched that show, I Survived. I keep telling you guys, I'm into the crime scene stuff. I might even start doing stuff like that. But to me, I'll be honest, it's not conducive for my healing right now, for my personal healing, the journey that I'm on right now, to have my channel have a bunch of stories like that. Okay, I'd much rather help out any way I can in other mediums, okay, on the ground and other parts of social media. But you guys know, I'm HSP. I'm HSP, highly sensitive person. I'm an empath, and I can't delve into that. Even this case with Gabby Pepito, like I don't know if I'll be able to do something on that. But I just don't want other women to go through these things. And I feel like, I've told you guys before, being an empath, I feel like it has made me, very few people are empaths. Very few empaths can harness the energy and the power in being an empath and allow that to benefit them, right? And one of the things that I want to stress for women, that these toxic masculinity videos are telling women to not get an education, to not get married, to not practice hypergamy. They're doing these things because they want you to go against your own interests. They want you to go against your own instincts. We have natural instincts for survival, and they're telling you to go against that because your survival is not on par with their survival and how they want to maintain their lives, right? Feeling like the chosen ones, feeling like the center of attention. I will never make a man feel like the center of attention unless it's your birthday. That's the day. I give you one day a year. I'll give you one day. What else you want? So, I've talked a lot about women allowing these guys to go raw, right? To go raw. When you're allowing a guy to go raw, y'all should be filling out marriage paperwork. Marriage ain't no different than dating. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I don't want to hear that. It's very different. It's very different in how you're treated in the hospital and how you're treated in the courtroom and how you're treated by lawyers, judges, police officers. It's different. You'll let them go raw, but you afraid to bring up marriage? That don't add up. Gotta start doing more for yourself because nobody else is going to. That's why people want to come on YouTube and be like, you're supposed to let me say whatever I want, do whatever I want. No, you're supposed to make that happen for yourself in your life. It's not up to me. Okay? All right, so when we're talking about red flags, I want you guys to keep in mind, don't let potential fool you. All right? It's always potential, potential, potential. They don't care about your potential as a woman. All right? Again, when we talk about why are women yelling at men and why do they do this and that? If men are going to be rough McGruff and they're not going to care about women, then they're going to get the energy that they put out. You're not going to rough McGruff and then, there are women that will do that and they'll play the fool. I had a neighbor down the street When we moved in, he was all happy as a clam. Now he gives very dark energy, very dark energy. I put my Juneteenth flag out. My husband put our Juneteenth flag out. And this guy's giving very weird energy. I keep an eye on him. I keep an eye on him. And I don't give him smiles and neighborly highs. Because I don't owe you that. You have a negative, toxic energy. As a man, you shouldn't be sending me this energy, bruh. You know, so let's start with number one. Okay. Number one red flag, toxic masculinity. This is if a guy is doing these 5 things, pack it up. Pack it up. I don't care if he's fine. I don't care if he smell good. I don't care if you've been single for a year. I've had women be like, I've been single for a year. It don't matter, sis. If the dude is trash, that it don't matter. So what? So you're not supposed to be single for more than a year? Insane. Where is your pride? Number one, he's selfish. Okay? Guy outright selfish, you can tell he's selfish. Everything about the relationship has to do with him. Okay? He doesn't get you anything for your birthday. He wants you to get something for him for his birthday. He doesn't get nothing for you for Valentine's Day. He wants you to get something for him for Valentine's Day. He wants you to make his life easier, but he's not doing anything like that for you. Right? Very self-involved. At the start of the relationship, he doesn't text back. He doesn't call back. That's a red flag. And I don't care if he stopped by. See, because a lot of women be like, well, he came by one weekend and, you know, he blew my back out. Oh. Okay? He doesn't like you. He's just not that into you. All right? He's selfish. You need to move along. You thought there was going to be something there. There's nothing there. Because one thing a woman doesn't want to hear when she feels like she's putting any energy into a relationship, especially when she's allowing him to raw and blowing backs out, she don't want to hear that this guy doesn't have potential if she just keeps on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, somebody finally touched me. Who cares? Get a vibrator. Okay? Like, have some self-respect. Go ahead and get that rabbit. All right? The rabbit. One of the best on the market. There's no reason, you know, I hear women all the time talking about how they haven't had that infamous O, you know, and it breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. Because I believe every woman can. Okay? But I believe that it starts with you knowing yourself. Loving yourself. Okay? So go ahead and get that rabbit. So that you're not dependent on random dudes to make you feel good. Okay? Get the rabbit. So that's number one. He's selfish. And I don't care if it's the first date, the first month, the first year. When you see a red flag, you need to move along. Period. And you need to do it as quickly and as quietly as possible. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I leave a job, for example, right? And like when you're doing an acting job, you have big goodbye parties, right? When you're doing regular jobs, I've been a waitress, I've worked in offices, right? If I'm leaving, I don't say goodbye to anyone. I don't say goodbye to anyone. I worked at a restaurant where the owners told other people that I was leaving, right? Because restaurants are very low vibrational working environments. It just is what it is. They told me that I was too professional. Too professional. I said, where should you be professional? If you're not going to be professional at work, where should you be professional? They didn't have an answer for me, so I quit. I don't put up with a lot. Anyways, when I leave a job or I leave anything, I don't let nobody know, baby. I'm out. I'm gone. Because if you care, you would be a part of my life. So especially if you're leaving a relationship, everyone knows statistically the most dangerous time for a woman to leave a relationship, the most dangerous time for a woman in a relationship is when she's ready to leave the relationship. That's a statistical fact. You don't tell him, you don't tell his mama, you don't tell friends, you don't post it on Facebook. You get up and get out of there. Make yourself hard to be found and never speak to him again. All right? Let me catch up on some of you guys' comments. I'm sorry about that, Relly. Very sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing better. It makes me really sad. I'm really sorry. It's that empath-ish. Thank you for being here, Relly. Appreciate you. I survived. I'm telling you. My husband was trying to sleep, and he was like, I can't sleep because the show's too interesting. And, to me, it's heartbreaking, right? But I'm very interested in situational awareness. Right? Especially living in New York. I've told you guys, I was assaulted in New York. A lot of people I know have been assaulted in New York. It's not a amusement park, right? Where you're like, Times Square. Times Square is dangerous now too. So I'm very interested in situational awareness. And, most of these stories, I have yet to see one story. Actually, I have seen one story where a woman assaulted another woman. One out of watching like almost every episode. Almost every episode is a man assaulting another man, a man assaulting a woman, or a man involved in a workplace or natural disaster event. All right. There are more men on that show surviving workplace and natural disasters than there are women assailants. And these guys will be on here being like, women do it too. And women, I'm like, come on. Because again, the reason I brought up Gabby, right, is because, yeah, they got into that situation on the side of the road there when the cops were called. He had scratches on his face. She's gone. How dare you compare scratches on the face? Because if he is responsible for this, God knows what he's been doing to her. But they want to sit and compare. Like, it can really be compared. And you'll notice oppressors doing this in every facet. They want to sit and compare. This can't be compared. You're a man, you have the strength of a man, have the strength to walk away. Have the strength to be the better man, to be the man you're supposed to be. Yeah, we had rough patches when my daughter was born. My tolerance level is a notch above. Right. Exactly. I let my husband know. I'm like, you ever seen an older black woman taking older black women don't take you got about 5 seconds. Come on now. You don't get to be in Maya Angelou taking, you know. So take note. Okay. Take note. Yeah, me too. I've binge watched way too many at this point. Way too many. I actually, for years, I didn't watch TV, movies, nothing. I only watched crime TV shows. And it was because after I was assaulted in New York by a mentally unhinged older black woman, okay, she was twice my age, right? Mentally unhinged, but that doesn't mean she's not accountable. She wasn't found crazy at trial. They just let her go. And that fascinated me because I'm like, she's clearly in the wrong. She clearly assaulted me. They kept asking me to drop the case. One thing that they'll do is say, you need to take a bench trial, right? And the bench trial means that the judge will officiate over the case. So instead of the jury officiating, the judge will. And the Brooklyn DA's office told me to do this because they said, you know, less people to convince. Well, I didn't know anything about the law. This was when I had first moved to New York. You know, the first few years I'd moved to New York. So I listened to them. And the judge dismissed the case because they kept telling me to drop the case because they were like, she's a first-time offender. And I was like, she's going to always be a first-time offender if every time her crazy attacks somebody, y'all let her go. But see, America doesn't care about violence that black people perpetuate onto other black people. America doesn't care if you're a black person and you've been violated by another black person. New York City proves that. So I became very interested in the law myself. And honestly, where I'm at this point where I could go to law school and I will ace the bar. And sometimes I think about it. I've told my husband, I'm like, I think that I'm going to take the bar because I like to know my rights. I like to know everything that's acceptable. One thing that they'll never teach you, right, is how the cops can lie to you. Cops can lie to you. They can legally lie to you. They can tell you, oh, we found DNA with your blah, 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 to get you to say something so that they can arrest you. I can go on and on about the things I've learned watching crime TV, right? One of the things that I learned is that the majority of cases, violent cases, are only solved by confession. That's why they be in those confession rooms fighting for their lives, putting people in a corner for 9 hours, hovering over them, slamming on the table, slapping them and stuff, right? Because most of their cases are only solved by confession. They don't solve anything. If it's not by confession, it's by a DNA test that's solved 10, 15, 20 years after the fact. They didn't solve it. It took 20, 30 years for DNA testing to catch up. They don't solve things. Okay, they pull people over in traffic and create revenue like that. So that became very interesting to me because I'm like, well, this isn't honest, right? Like people aren't honestly talking about this. People aren't honestly talking about how that's what cops really do. They're not really here to help you. Some of them have helped people, but their general function is to intimidate and raise revenue. So, I watch crime shows because I don't like being lied to, you know? And my experience of being assaulted and having absolutely no help from cops, they lied on the police report. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. The DA's office, these people are corrupt AF. Every facet of this society is. Number 2, he doesn't like women. Look, YouTube has shown us that a lot of these guys just don't like women. They don't like women. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't waste my time with a guy that doesn't like women. And I'm not telling you that you have to have women friends and whatnot or be a feminist guy, right? But all his exes are crazy. His mom is crazy, right? Every woman that he interacts with, everything that he does, women are crazy. There's no accountability on his part for the things that he does to women, right? You're going to want to stay away from those types, right? And that includes men that have criminal charges, violent criminal charges, DV charges. Those are guys to stay away from, okay? Let the police reformers date them. No, I'm sorry, police abolitionists. Let the police abolitionists date them, since they think that they're not supposed to be in jail. Let the police abolitionists date them. I've been the victim of violent crime, and I say, to jail you go, with your violent raggedy. And what happens to you in a violent place is something you should have thought about before you became violent. Right? I absolutely, and I've already talked about this on this channel, guys. I absolutely don't believe people should be put in jail for nonviolent offenses, okay? Except for being deadbeat, except for being a deadbeat daddy. And that's another red flag, right? So men with violent charges, men with a lot of DUIs, I'm sorry, but I've interacted with several guys that had multiple DUIs. Okay. And what I saw in them were guys that could care less about the fact that multiple times, under threat of prison, they got their drunk, entitled behinds behind the wheel and put other people's lives in danger. I think that's gross. Okay. So that's something you want to stay away from. Deadbeat dads. A guy that has multiple children by multiple baby mamas. Those are red flags. That's not a characteristic, that's not a quality. And those are the guys that are online trying to make life harder for y'all. You know? Don't give them a chance. If a man has multiple children by multiple baby mamas, don't play yourself. You know? I mean, unless it's Jeff Bezos. Okay? Someone that lives with their mother. Red flag. A mama's boy. The red flag is his mother is no doubt an enabler. His mother is no doubt as narcissistic as her son. And you're going to enter a toxic family dynamic. Okay? And you don't want that. You don't deserve that. So if you're in the room, please thumbs up and subscribe. All right? I really appreciate that. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, God. Where's my husband? Okay, so. Number 3. He's a basket case. Okay? There's just nothing good about him. No good qualities. Okay? I mean, need I say more? Right? Um, he has a lot of baby mamas. He can't get a job. Can't get a job when you a man? You know how many jobs are out there? McDonald's is paying $15 an hour now. It's just no excuse. None. Especially the job market today. They're looking for people. Right? So he can't never get a job. Don't even talk to me of that. Like that's scary. That's a horror movie for me. Like some guy being like, I couldn't get a job today. I'm like, oh my God. Right? And be like running outside, falling and shit, If he's just volatile, right? I've told you guys about guys slamming their hands when they're speaking or them getting that look in their eyes. Some guys will, some of them will glare. Some of them will get that dead eye look, right? And they'll just be like, it's like, nope. I went on a date a year or so before I started dating my husband. All right. With what I would call a bottom shelf brat. I thought he was mid shelf, but I think he revealed himself to be, saying, because I only, again, even at a younger age, I was a sapiosexual. I just always have been. So he approached in the whole Wall Street, I'm Wall Street with the slick, Christian Bale, and I was like, okay. And he really was like American Psycho, right? So this guy was just like, we started walking in, and the thing is, I've always been very aware of negative energy. And I've always responded to that very quickly. So I think immediately it became clear to him that I was on to the fact that he had a sinister energy. And we were walking through Central Park, and it was after a rainstorm. So there was no one else in the park, right? And, his negative energy, I guess I started saying things to imply that I didn't want to be there anymore, So he'd be like, if you don't want to be here, you can leave, and very aggressive. The person I am today, right? The person I am today, I mean, that encounter would never have happened. I would have called the cops, like, hit him with some mace, something. Like, this dude was very scary. And the one thing I used to do back in the day, I'll be honest, when I went on dates, okay, we keep it 100, is I would be like, do I want to be alone in a room with this guy? Right? Because that's what they want. They want to be alone in a room with you, right? That's why they always come over here talking about, what you look like with all that makeup in that wig? Right? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's tons of pictures of me. You can see tons of pictures of what I look like. No, I wear very little makeup. This is my natural face. I don't have lip fillers. I never had a nose job. This is, okay. Sorry, guys. So I've always been like, would this be a safe guy to be alone in a room with, right? When I was in undergrad, I'm telling y'all everything. Okay, nothing wrong with it. When I was in undergrad, a very machismo, I mean, I don't know if he was Indonesian. This guy was so big and ripped. He was like Indonesian or something. Beautiful hair. I said, and he was trying to, Facebook. He was trying to Facebook because Facebook was the thing, right? And I did not respond because I was like, look, this guy is huge. I'd never been alone in a room with a guy. And most of the guys that I were friends with, hung out with, were very skinny guys, right? Anyways, the point is, I was like, I don't want to be alone in a space with this guy because I don't know who this guy is. I don't know him, right? I've also had, very big guy friends, but I knew them, right? So I felt safe around them. So if I don't know you, you're a big guy, that's not going to happen. Just period. Because I'm just too scared. Sorry, I'm a lady. Got to protect myself, So anyways, in Central Park, this guy was just giving me, again, he was like Christian Bale-ish. He didn't have all that Christian Bale swag, certainly, but he was, great value Christian Bale. I just knew something was off with him, and he wanted me to go to dinner with him after. And I was just like, no, I feel sick. I'm just going to get back on the subway and go home. And, he called me again, and I ignored his call. Unhinged. Scary. I don't deserve that. Like, totally scary. And I was like, could you imagine getting in a subway or getting a taxi with this guy and like going to dinner, going wherever with this guy after how angry and that he's been during the walk through the park and at the movies? Then we went to the movies and saw Transformers. And that's when I knew. I was like, you're not a sapiosexual. I'm very serious about that. I need an intelligent man that I can have conversation with. Why would you take me to Transformers? I think it was like Transformers 2 or something, Ugh. Right. So many men cry inequality because of hypergamy. Strategies like hypergamy have always existed, but only for survival. Now women are in a time where hypergamy is a choice, which means power. Exactly. And they don't want you to have that power because they've been benefiting for a long time by shaming women with this whole gold digger-ish, especially black women. Especially black women, right? Just when we talk about exotic, what's more exotic than a black woman? Not much. You know what I'm saying? So exotic, something that stands out, something that is different. So they've been very convenienced. They've gotten a lot of bad by lying to y'all, making y'all feel like y'all had to, there are very few good men, so you got to share them. You got to chase them. No, you don't. There might be a few good men here, but there's a bunch of men out there, right? Emotional and commitment issues, right? I just told you guys about the guy in Central Park with emotional issues. You have emotional issues. You're a man. I shouldn't be sensing that you're irate, that you're anxious. Even I've been around guys who were like incessantly tapping or, doing something like that. I said, oh, hell no, I'm out. I'm out. You don't understand that you're so anxious that it's projecting onto other people. I don't mean I'm like out on a date where like some guy's tapping and I'm like, I just mean like if I've been around, if I'm like on the bus and some guy's doing that, I'll move. I mean, I haven't been on a bus in a while, but life experiences. Okay. Commitment issues, right? Never been in a long-term relationship. I think that's weird. And again, a lot of these guys have never been in long-term relationships, but they have multiple children by multiple different women. That's a red flag. That's not something to work with. You know what I'm saying? So please keep this stuff in mind because when you're a woman, your choice in partner can mean the difference between life or death. That's just the reality. Okay? So this is it's very important to understand. And going off of that, let's go into the next point, okay? Which is, if the guy tells you off the rip, right, that he's not interested, he's not looking for a relationship. A lot of these guys nowadays will tell you, like, I'm not looking for a relationship. Okay? If that's the case, I'm gonna tell you, like Maya Angelou. Was it Maya Angelou? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If a man is telling you, I'm not interested in a relationship, you need to believe him. And I don't care if y'all hooked up, if y'all went out to a diner and you paid for half of your meal, if he comes over late at night, if he lets you drive him places and give him money, he doesn't want a relationship. Okay? And he's not going to give you a relationship. So let him go. All right? And I think that especially when you haven't dated in a while and you feel like someone is a prospect, I think that's hard for women to do, you know? But you got to do it. I have no regrets about the bottom tier, low tier men that I interacted with before my husband. And I even interacted with a few decent ones, you know, but none of them were the caliber of my husband. And I will never allow myself to get tied up in a non-beneficial relationship and miss out on someone and something much better, you know? And that's why they're constantly trying to shame you. Like, you better stay, or what? You want a woman to stay, then behave. Behave accordingly so that she wants to stay. You know, stop acting like you're the prize, bruh. Okay? Thank you. If a man is not willing to marry me, if I get pregnant, exactly, period. You know? What you mean you want to go, I don't like the way that feel. I don't like, you know what? I don't like the way single motherhood feels. I don't like the way asking for child support feels. Feels really gross to have to ask a man to take care of his kid. I don't like the way that feels. That feels, ugh. I can't get into that. So why should we care about what feels good for you if you don't care about what feels good for me? When you're looking at somebody sitting up there telling you, oh, it's got to be raw, then I got to be married. Quickly. Or the answer is no. Y'all act like y'all can't say no to these dudes. What's going on? It's a lot of women walking around with a baby because they didn't want to say no to some dude who didn't want to wear protection. How can you even get into it after that anyways? You're asking him to do something so that you could take care of yourself, right? Or they got y'all having to take all types of BC, birth control, which isn't good for your body because they don't want to wear protection. It's to protect your nugget headed behind. And see, what a lot of women don't understand is you only play yourself to let them go raw. You only play yourself because when you get preggers, he's going to say you trapped him. He's going to say he didn't want that you try to trap him. He's not going to be like, let me take accountability because I didn't want to wear protection. They're not going to look at it that way. You're going to end up pregnant, and then he's going to end up being like, I don't want to have a kid. And then make you have to deal with that. When you can avoid that by putting yourself first and doing what you need to do. I'm also, Oh, you sleep with him without having the discussion to say so. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As soon as I know you're interested, I'm like, let me tell you a little bit about me. Ha ha! Ha ha! Let me tell you a little bit about me. All right? I'm not a woman you want to play with. You gotta let them know off the rip, because, you know, what I did when I was younger with other guys and my husband was I would always, and I think a lot of women do this, right? Just give a guy whatever he's asking for. And then you're hurt and your feelings are hurt when you're asking him for stuff and he's not willing to give it to you. You don't have to give him everything he's asking for, right? No one taught me that. I had to realize it by being like, wow, so I'm not getting what I want, but these guys are getting what they want. So, you know, problem solved. Then you won't get nothing that you asking for. And we can do it like that. We can do it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to take care of yourself. Because people don't even like people that they can walk all over and run all over. They don't even like you. It's a sad reality. You know? I wouldn't even consider sleeping with the guy. 40, and guys are pretending to care to get some of the money that might. Relly says, I'm pushing 40 and guys are pretending to care to get some of the money that my deceased husband left me. I am not ready to date again. Good for you, Relly, that you understood all of that. That you understand all of that. Because again, I talk about the lies that these guys are pushing on here. And to me, it's sick. These guys absolutely care. These guys absolutely care about women having money. They love that. And for Kevin Samuels to be pretending like that's not something guys are interested in, that's garbage. And yeah, when you're a woman with money, you got to be aware of that and take care of yourself. It's not your job. That's why I said I'll be like, these young dudes be hitting on me, 19. I'm like, what did you hit? I'm not going to be anyone's sugar mama. That's not a life I'm interested in. I like when the guy provides. It works out better that way. Trust. You don't want to be a guy that has to depend on a woman to get stuff. And I don't want to be around a guy like that. Right? So, you know, I've never found it appealing. When a guy is hitting on me because, you know, especially as I get older, right? Because I'm like, I know you see that you're not in this league. What are you doing? You know? And then I'm like, do you really think you're going to get some of the money that I got? I will never buy a man nothing, a meal, nothing. Even when I go out with my like male guy friends, even my women friends will pay for my meal. Like what I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're younger than me and a younger, like if I go out with like a younger woman, I'll pay for her meal. Paying for a man? No. Okay, so final point. Okay, let me go over the first four. He's selfish. 1. 2, he doesn't like women. 3, he's a basket case. His life's all messed up. Okay? 4, he's not looking for a relationship. These are all red flags. Okay. The fifth red flag is going to be he's possessive and or jealous. Okay. And again, I don't care if it's the first date or the first year. He doesn't own you. Okay. I told my husband about guy friends that I would have. People would always say you're very intimidating and guys aren't going to ask you out, but guys only want to be friends with women that they want to date, right? So I had a lot of guy friends. I thought they wanted to be friends. Okay, so anyways, I had one guy friend, right, that if I was wearing something like this, for example, this is a guy friend, like nothing else. He never paid for nothing for me. He would be like, why are you dressed like that? Where are you going? Who are you trying to impress? And I've had a handful of guy friends do this to me over the years, which is one of the reasons I don't really have guy friends like that anymore. Thank God I got my husband. But, he'd be like, why are you dressed like that? Where are you going? Who are you trying to impress? What are you doing? Why are your boobs out? Why are you wearing makeup? And I was like, what the hell? And be like very serious about it too. Like, I thought it was so bizarre. And I'm like, that's not how a friend should talk to a friend, right? And or I would have, because my husband doesn't do any of these things, so I have to use people from the past. And or I would have guy friends who would be like, what, cock blockers, basically, right? They're cock blocking, right? They'd be like, oh, are you sure you want to date this guy? Watch out for this guy. He's only trying to use you. This guy doesn't like you, right? Like, bruh, you're not paying no bills. Well, why do you think you have a say in what's going on over here? That's very weird to me. So if they're possessive, controlling, jealous, those are red flags. And I know that women like the idea of a man loving them and, being jealous. I know a lot of women like the idea of, a guy being jealous and wanting, to always be around and, but I've seen couples like all they do is hang out with each other, very toxic relationships. Um, someone, dating someone that doesn't like you talking to other men, you know, um, I was on a date once and the guy was like, I went to the bathroom and then, we were like at a concert. So I left him, I went to the bathroom and I watched when I came back out of the bathroom, I stood and watched the performer. He was like, where were you? Why were you gone for so long? Like, it's like, what do you care? You know what I'm saying? Like, um, guys that try to make you submit and tell you what to do. I dated this guy who um I was crossing the street in a taxi, like almost hit me. It's New York, right? And I'm like yell at the taxi. I'm like, I'm walking here. What the, and the guy was like, no, no, chill, chill, chill. You can't tell that was a black guy. Okay. And I was like, who's you talking to? You haven't paid no bills, man. And that's what I'm talking about. They want to be like, you're not submissive. And why would I submit to you? You haven't paid any bills. So I was like, who's you talking to? I didn't like that at all. And I wasn't really interested in him after that. And that's why when he called, I never answered his call again. Don't waste your time. Move along, you know? So let's go over the 5 red flags once more. He's selfish. 2, he doesn't like women. 3, he's a basket case. 4, he's not looking for a relationship. And 5, he's possessive, jealous, and or controlling. Okay. It's not up to women to make relationships work. And I think a lot of men believe that it is. Okay. It's not up to women to make relationships work. It takes both. And if both aren't doing it and you're not getting reciprocity for the work that you put into a relationship, you're under no obligation to put up with that, period. And again, they're trying to shame women into staying in these relationships because men want to be lazy. They don't want to do any work. They don't want to try to get a new woman. They like to take advantage of the one that they have, right? So it's on you if you put up with that and you let some guy play you and take advantage of you. That's on you, right? All right, so I'm going to read you guys' comments and then I'm going to head out. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Sorry, I read all these. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Rel. So sad. I can't even imagine, honestly. Like especially when I hear about people losing their husband, their spouse, and having that in my life. It's just like even when I hear people losing their mom, right? I lost my mom. I know what that's like. It's like I don't ever even want to experience that, So it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I hope that you're doing better and getting through that. And please keep coming to the channel and having community with us over here because I have a great group of people over here. The Steelies are amazing. This is one of the safest spaces. This is the safest space I've seen, to be honest. Certainly in this sector, but this is definitely always a safe space. So, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And, when you have a good man, then you know what a good man is. And again, a lot of these pick-me's, they'll be talking about like, don't do this for a man, don't do that. Like, you've never had a man, okay? 1-year relationship, that don't count. All right? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You ever try to make something work with somebody for a decade? People love to be like, the time doesn't matter. Oh, it absolutely does. That's the whole point of marriage, is like sticking it through. Long-term relationships are very difficult, right? And there's literally like almost no pick-me that is in a long-term relationship, but they want to tell you how you're to interact with men, And I'm telling you, you can have your own life, your own personality, and still be a woman who will submit to her husband and still be a traditional woman, if that's what you're interested in. I call myself a modern traditional woman. Okay. And you don't have to sacrifice yourself. In fact, I would discourage listening to anyone that makes you think that you have to sacrifice yourself to make a relationship work. Oh, hey, Naima. Aww. Yeah. It's, and can I say also, Rel, that I'm happy that you did find your husband and you found this great guy and you guys had the time that you had together. Um, because what you had, a lot of women will never even get to experience, because it's just so rare to find someone for you. I think people spend a lot of time, too much time in relationships that they shouldn't be in, that they never get to find that person that they're going to love for life and that they're going to ride for, So I'm happy that you found that. Exactly, ROA. Get out of here. There's no accountability because everything is like, what about you? Stop. You're not even, that's why I don't even engage these guys in conversation. Like, because you're not having a real conversation. If you're not willing to take any accountability. Yeah, do you feel good after you have spent time with your partner? Your body and mind will tell you when something is wrong in a relationship. Listen to your womanly intuition. Absolutely undefined artist. I only dated a few guys more than once. And I felt generally okay with those guys, but I also felt okay to break it up because they weren't giving me what I wanted. And again, I'm very happy that I did that because I would have wasted my time arguing with people about returning text messages and phone calls. But then they want to hit me up at 3 a.m. type. No. And I told you guys all the time about the time when my husband, we first started dating, and he said, if you're going to be my woman, I got to pay for you. And he's just done things like that throughout the relationship. And like I said, I've always been transparent and honest that relationships are hard. Interracial relationships are hard. It's not been the easiest for us with being in an interracial relationship and having both of our families not support us. So, but I've always felt, very safe, the safest I ever felt with my husband. You know what I'm saying? I always knew that he and I were meant to be with each other. You can't always get family on board. At this point, we don't even care. We do not care. We do not care at this point. It's been too much. So, we acknowledge our families of origin as our families of origin. And we acknowledge each other as the family that we are today. I'm glad you're healing, Rel. I'm glad you're healing. That's good to hear. Oh, thank you, Naima. Thank you. The lighting isn't the greatest. I was trying to wait to get a whole bunch of things fixed up before I came back on camera for you, but I'm still working on it. Yeah, I feel you, my world. I had to significantly cut back. Like I told you, I was just kind of obsessed for many years there. So I had to significantly cut back because, yeah, nightmares and stuff. And now I'm very particular about what I will watch. That's why I pointed out that we like that chapter, the YouTube show, because he does a lot of joking in between, and it's kind of like, even though it's sad stories, it's not scary. It's kind of just more him giving the facts of the case. So that's why I'm like, I'll watch that chapter on YouTube, but Snapped and all those crime shows, even I Survived. So for me to be watching I Survived the other night, like that was irresponsible because it's just scary. And I actually turned it off like in the middle because I was like, okay, I go to sleep, like watch it in the morning. So yeah, crime shows are scary. Aw, we're here for you, Rel. Oh, wonderful. I'm glad that you're here, Rel. Just wondering, is it bad to still live with parents? I recently turned 20 and I'm still in college, so I can't really afford my own place. Absolutely not, ROA. You are just you're 20, you're still in college. It's totally fine. Even if you're a woman still living with your parents, I think that's totally fine. I think if you're a guy in the same situation, I don't know if you're a guy or ROA, I don't know if you're a guy or a woman, but it's totally fine to still live with your parents. Not at my age. Okay. Not when you're in your 30s and 40s. I think that we need to work on self-differentiating from our origin families. That's one of the reasons why I had such a hard time letting go of my mostly narcissistic / flying monkey estranged family members, because I had a very difficult time self-differentiating from them. And I just felt like who I was a part of them. I didn't feel a wholeness of myself. And they didn't feel that way, right? They were able to self-differentiate. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, I was playing myself. Right? Because I'm like, these people are taking advantage of me. They actually thought they could come over here and bully me, stuff like that. Or I'm like, if I see you in the street, your ass is done. I don't need your opinion. Like, I I have no care to interact with my estranged family members, my origin family. Where I'm at today, because I find their behavior was atrocious. I would never do to them what they did to me. And I will never accept people doing to me things that I wouldn't do to them. That's why my husband's family is not a part of my life as well. Don't ever try me. We're going to make it over here regardless. Okay? Happy wife, happy life. That's the motto. That's the motto in this home. So my husband's family, my family, these people, our origin families, were just very jealous of what we were trying to create on our own. So, wish them well, best of luck in all their future endeavors. Okay. But yeah, living with family has never been an option for me. But if you have a good family to live with, and they'll let you get on your feet, absolutely, you should not feel bad about that at all. My whole point is, don't get to being in your 30s and 40s like a lot of people, and you're still doing things because your mom wants you to do it, your dad wants you to do it, your family wants you to do it. They didn't want me to date interracial. They didn't want me to be with a good quality guy either, because nobody was trying to set that up. I was just supposed to be sitting alone and being miserable. Out of here. But again, you should absolutely feel no type of bad. I mean, you're 20 years old. You live with your family for however long you want. But remember, don't get clouded by living with your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, always maintain yourself. But yeah, I don't look down on young people living with their family at all. Take care of yourself. The job market is hard. Especially when you graduate, it's very competitive when you do get your degree. There's a lot. The world's a scary place, Make sure you're grounded before you move on. Absolutely. Absolutely, my world. See? Absolutely. Absolutely. That right there. Absolutely. Great point. Great point, my world. Divest, vet, and don't let them know anything about your finances. Absolutely. Because, what you need to know about my finances, you ain't going to get none of them. You're not going to get none of them. I'm not spending a dime on a man. It's weird. It's creepy to me. That's a haunted house to me. Instead of going to a haunted house for Halloween, I would buy a man a meal. Like, that's scary. I don't want to do that. So definitely, you know what a good man is like. You had your husband before. So you know what to look out for when it comes to men. One of the reasons that I still fucks with Shira 7, okay, is because you can tell Shira is a married woman and she's about what she talks about, and I think these are all things that she would definitely agree with as well, right? Divest, vet, and don't tell them anything about your finances. Because if they want to come online and pretend like that doesn't matter, then let it not matter. But anyways, there's nothing I can do for you. Like, knowing my finances, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And they should have their own money. The topic should be more about their finances and what they're offering to you as a woman than what you're offering, right? So it shouldn't even get to that point in conversation for a long time. Absolutely. I pay for my sister's meals all the time, but never a man nor my brothers. I think that's great. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember once, like, I think my husband wanted to pay for like my brother's meal, and I was like, he's a man. Let him pay for his own meal. He's a male. I lived with my parents until after college. When I got full-time employment, I actually just paid them rent for my room until I could afford to move out. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, some people's parents make them pay rent. Some of them don't. But I think that's better than, living on your own. I was living on my own in New York because I didn't have family to live with. And that's when this crazy psycho woman assaulted me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's rough out there. If you have a safe place with your family as a young person establishing yourself, don't feel any qualms about that. You might want to keep it to yourself when it comes to the things that you're doing with friends, dating, or whatever, just because, people can be judgmental or whatever, but I mean, I wouldn't feel any way about that. Again, if I could have done that, I would have, And then after I was assaulted in New York, I didn't have anywhere to go. I had to stay in New York. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you have a safe place that you can go, be there and take care of yourself and get on your feet and get your grounding. Absolutely. Paying them rent for a couple of months after you get a full-time job will help you save. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would definitely let my kids do that as well. Like, we constantly have the debate about parents cutting their kids off at 18. And, I'm a person, I grew up in foster care. I didn't have the ability to stay with my parents, but almost everyone I know did. My husband did. And that's why, we even ended up staying with his parents after I graduated from grad school. Like, we stayed with them for a few months because we were in between homes, and that was horrible. But that was an option because it was an option for him, right? So, unfortunately for me, just to be honest, his parents' house wasn't a safe space for me, and that's what I try to warn you guys, Um, a lot of people will be on here just, talking about the benefits of interracial dating, but they don't, because they've never been in an interracial relationship. And of course, they're not all going to be like mine. Almost everyone I know who date interracially, like, their partner's family loved them, right? Um, my husband's family had a really bizarre idea of what I was going to do to make them like me. I'm not doing much more than I did, and I did enough, and I went above and beyond. And I will never do anything ever, ever again. Nothing. I won't smile in their direction anymore. It's just not the person that I am. And I told them a decade ago, stop playing with me. But I definitely would help my kids in that 18 to 25 year range when you need it the most, you know. Um, and I needed it, and I didn't get it. So I had to figure out life in those years on my own. And it's made me the person that I am today, right? Because I survived, you know, my early mid 20s in New York City, on my own. And then I met my husband, and he made life a hell of a lot easier. Hallelujah! All right, God is good. Don't waste your time, move along. Yep. Period. Period. As an actor, you go to auditions, and my husband always be like, "Oh, how's this audition? How's that?" I'm like, "It doesn't matter, bruh. I have the audition, and then I never think about it again." You can't. So that's the same thing, Uzo Aduba said, from Orange is the New Black, Crazy Eyes, Uzo Aduba. She said after an audition, she kind of like makes this imagery in her head, right? Of like a kind of like a wastebasket. And she's throwing out the audition in the wastebasket. It's thrown away. She never thinks about it again. Um I appreciated her saying that. And she said this at a SAG screening event that I was at. So I started doing that after that. That was years ago. I started doing that with my auditions. Like, you go to audition, what are you going to do? Like, think about every single audition you go to. It's the same thing when you meet a guy, when you meet somebody, you're partnering up, you're in a relationship. It's the same thing. When you're dating, it's the same thing. You go on a date with a guy, say I had a great time. He could say I did too. Or maybe he says nothing at all. Throw it away and move along. I wouldn't even text him again. Okay? One thing I'm not going to do is ever text somebody twice in a row. Unless you're my husband. Okay? Then I'll text him like 20 times in a row. Right? Like, where are you? Why are you answering? Ah! Right? But a date? Some guy? You can text me. And if you don't text enough, I'll delete your number. I had a few dudes being like, oh, you don't remember me? I absolutely do not. I absolutely do not. Who the hell do you think you are that you would go a week, 2 weeks after going on a date with me and then you want to text again? It didn't work out with you and so. I'm not interested. Okay? Oh, yay, wonderful, ROA. Absolutely. So good to have. And it's a blessing to have parents that will let you get your credit. This world is competitive. It's hard, you know? And I'm a person who, I grew up in the foster care system. I didn't have a lot of parents. I didn't have support. I didn't have a lot of support, right? Parental support. I didn't have any. But I'm always keenly aware that that's a disadvantage. That's not something to be, I'm proud that I made it, but that's not something to continue on. That's a generational trauma to not have family support, right? So taking accountability, I make sure that I will only partner with someone that will ensure that our children can have help, that our children can build their credit score up, that our children will have safety and have a home to return to. I'm not going to partner with someone who grew up, and family support wasn't expected, and they don't acknowledge that. They're unhealed. They're traumatized from it. They're unhealed from it. They don't acknowledge it. I'm not going to partner with someone like that and have children with someone like that. They put my kid through the same thing that I went through. I'll be damned. I'll be damned. I didn't work my ass off my entire life with no help so that I would couple up with someone who would make all of that come crashing down. Right? So you got to be very careful who you date and mate with and who you allow into your life. Exactly. And that's why they end up, you see them, they age fast. They need work done. You're not going to get anything for it. You're not going to get into heaven for it. Like, you're not going to get anything for sacrificing for some guy. He's not going to care. No one's going to care. So don't do it. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be sacrifice when it comes to a long-term relationship. But these little 1 to 3 year relationships y'all be having, what is you sacrificing for? Like, just forget about it. Just end it and walk away. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I don't think I'm a modern or traditional woman. I'm a whatever benefits me type of woman. The youth. I think the youth are very smart. I think the youth are very smart. I'm telling y'all right now. I knew I wasn't going to put up with BS when I was young, but again, I accepted a lot more than I should have. You guys are on the right track. Right track, baby. You guys are on the right track. Absolutely. Especially, again, if you're over here, DanieSteel, please thumbs up the video and subscribe if you're in the room. Appreciate you. If you're over here, you're making the right choices because there's not a lot of content on YouTube where people are walking the walk, talking the talk, breaking these issues down deeper, right? So we get to the roots, which is usually trauma, right? When we get to the root and we remind ourselves of our worth and what we deserve, right? Oh, this is great advice. Great advice, you guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, you know, you have to be that way. I always put other people before me most of my life. And people gave me their ass to kiss for it. No one. I remember once I was in an argument with an estranged sibling, family member. And I was like, I've done so much to try to help you guys. And they're like, no, you haven't. Like, they don't even care. They don't care. You'll waste your life putting people before yourself. It's literally a waste of life. Now, you can help people out, but it can't be at your expense. It can't. Because at that point, is it even genuine? Because nobody wants to do that, right? A lot of that type of behavior is because you've been indoctrinated and programmed to believe as a woman, as a Black woman, you have to put other people before you. I always thought that. You know, I always just knew that, you know, people only want to be around me if I'm going to give them something. And then I was like, well, you know what? What if I give them nothing? And they can stay or they can go. You know, and that's the point that I'm at today. And I don't have a lot of the problems that I've had in the past when I wasn't putting myself first. Like, I can't tell you about, you know, I've had very few just negative experiences or encounters because I make it clear very quickly. The last situation that I was in, I talked about with my therapist, like, this situation didn't work out. It was a collaboration of sorts. It didn't work out. And my therapist said, you know, you have to make it clear from the jump. Of course, she didn't say it like that. She's like, you have to make it clear to people when you meet them who you are and what you're willing to tolerate or not. Because the fact that you presented yourself in that way that you can present yourself, right? Like, hey guys. Hey tee hee hee. Okay, that's great. We can tee hee. But don't play with me. You know what I'm saying? So instead of coming at people like hee tee hee, don't play with me. I usually have just been very like, and you know, when you're a Black woman, I feel like you have to smile more, you have to overcompensate, all that stuff. And I'm finally at the point where I'm like, I'm not going to do all that. I'm not. And you can take me or leave me. Period. Lately, I've been trying not to argue with men or people in general. If someone wants to go on that whataboutism rant, I just nod, smile, and move on. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I remember I was just on Twitter the other day. I was like, I posted something that was a joke, and then someone said, "I don't understand this," and I said, "Well, it's a play on something else," and they're like, "I still don't understand." That's your problem. The fuck are you talking? Why are you still talking to me? There's a room full of niggas. What you bothering me for? What are you bothering me for? Go look it up. The hell? I just told you what the joke was about. People are so weird. Go ask your mama. I just skip right on over it. I don't have time. It's true. Ah, they hate it. I was playing Tupac. That's why they call you. You wonder why they call you. You wonder why they call you. And I mean, some of the bars in that song, right? He basically tells the woman, like, it's a song about Black women, and he's like, you're doing this, you're doing that, right? You're running around. You think you're trying to take advantage of guys. You a baby mama. You a thought. Of course they didn't say thought, but it was just this like. I'm like this. Is there any other person in the world that has like you can make an entire playlist. You can make multiple albums out of all of the songs that hip hop songs. And of course I got Snoop and Tupac on my walls here. I bought this at Afropunk years ago, okay? And I've asked people to send me more Black art. You send me more Black art, I'll put more Black art on the wall. But I don't, of course, I like the artists. I like the colors. I don't really care about Snoop. But, you know, that whole song was about like just shaming Black women and being like, this is why you deserve to be. And these guys grew up on that. They grew up on that. And one of the things he says in the song is like, um, you just got your welfare check and now you about, thanks to the welfare, you about to get your hair done. And it was like, maybe she wouldn't have to be on welfare if the man stayed in the house and provided. Pac, Biggie, these are men that didn't have fathers, but they couldn't wait to make songs and music indicting Black women and telling Black women how they should behave and what they should do, right? And the song kind of ends with Pac being like you died, you caught a disease and you died too quick, and that's why they called you, right? I'm like, wow, whoa, that is dark. It's not like waterfalls. That was dark. And Pac himself ends up being murdered by alleged gang activity, right? And passing away at a young age. So the fact that these guys will take music like that and pretend like that's what was actually happening when, Pac himself admits that his father wasn't there. His father was a deadbeat. but for his mother raising him, what else would he have had? He even admits that in his other music, right? But they still don't, there's no song about the deadbeat daddies. There's no songs, there's no hip hop songs, there's no word that you call the deadbeat daddies, there's no word that you call the plethora of these guys that date out, that so happily date out. There's no word for them, right? There's no indicting them for their behavior, right? But Black women were told, if you behave this way, if you think that you're gonna benefit from a man whatsoever in a relationship, if you use $1 of welfare or child support money on yourself, like, it was just like crazy, like, rules and regulation, and this was the music that they were like, this is about Black women without a doubt. There's none of that. But then they want to pretend like now they're the victims. This is what happens again. As I said, this is what oppressors do. This is what people who oppress do, whether it's men oppressing women, racial oppression, whatever it is, they dodge accountability. Did my husband leave? I'm like, this is getting late, and I want to know where my dinner at. Okay, we're ordering out tonight because I'm here with y'all, and I made tacos last night. Okay. I love I Survived, but shows about real life serial killers are like Law and Order. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you gotta figure out what works for you, I used to love horror movies when I was growing up, but as I got older, I was like, it's not healthy, you know. It's hard enough for me to fall asleep, you know. Thank you, Rel. Appreciate you. I lived with my parents for up to 3 years after I graduated college. I bought my own house and live alone, so don't feel bad about living with your parents while getting an education. Absolutely no living, and congratulations. That's so awesome to have your own place. Like, that's boss. That's what's up. So I've been wanting to get a home because I feel like renting nowadays costs almost as much as a mortgage. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I tell you guys all the time, just like a lot of the great stuff that my husband does for me and has done for me, like he's cleaning up. He's worked all day. All day he works. Like I said, he works 7 a.m., 7 p.m. And then he's like taking care of the pet stuff, and he's like doing all this stuff for our pets, and then he's gonna go pick up dinner. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, I mean, to find a man that wants to be helpful to you too, that is rare for Black women. Because I feel like so many people, when it comes to Black women, it's just, what can you do for me? You know? Yep, yep. Good advice. Good advice. Excuse me, guys. Is there a reason why they don't like you? Is it because of the whole interracial thing? I've always been interested in dating all kinds of men, but making the parents like me seems stressful. Exactly. We shouldn't have to make their parents like us. I mean, it is what it is. I'll be honest, because why not? His family is a group of characters. Okay, they don't like anyone. So I don't even take it personally. They wouldn't have gotten along with anyone. Whoever, like, they wanted some woman, especially his mother, was very controlling and a bully and a narcissist. She wants someone that she can control, and the rest of their family placates her and allowing her to feel like she can control them because, she's the mother and she's overbearing. You're not controlling me. I was nice. I was friendly. Things fell apart when we lived with them years and years and years ago in the transition between both of us, my husband and I, both leaving grad school, okay, and entering the workforce. I was working, he was still in grad school. And because he was in school, we didn't have enough money, to live on our own for a few months, and we had to live and move with them. And she thought she was going to treat me different, and like she had like different rules for me than like the rest of the house. Different expectations and rules of what I should be doing. I think at one point she even was like, well, you haven't like offered to like clean the kitchen or something. I was like, bitch, I don't eat out of your dirty ass kitchen. Don't fuck with me. I don't eat your food. I only would like eat out at that time. Like, it is what it is. I'm very particular about stuff. Of course, I didn't say that to her like that. I was much younger. I was very nice. I said to my husband, I said, I don't think your mom likes me. And he told her. And she came up to me and was like, that's not true. It was true, bitch. And I called you out. I don't care. These people have never tried to make nothing work with us. She thinks she's going to like backdoor have a relationship with her son, that she's going to see him on holidays. We were doing that. Like, me and him were splitting up, and he would go with his family and I would go with mine for holidays. We're not doing that. We're married. So after we got married, I was like, unfortunately, all the games that you was playing before we were married, that is over. And yeah, it's it's a shame, talking about your husband, mama like that. She drew first blood. Do you understand? She drew first blood. Both of our origin families, they drew first blood. I know an enemy when I see one. I know an enemy before they know themselves. Understand this. This is why I don't play with people in the YouTube sector. I know an enemy before they know themselves. You want to be an enemy? That's fine. I don't play with enemies. I don't play with enemies. And she tried to give her son an ultimatum, and she lost. Because I ain't competing for nobody. And I didn't have to. And now it's, oh, they're mad. I'm bougie. Yeah, I am. What's up? What's up? I definitely believe that if I came from a big, if I had family, right? If I had the parents, if I had people who would call her up and be like, what are you doing? That she wouldn't have done that so much. But she felt like she had free reign to do and say whatever she wanted to me, treat me any old kind of way. I will do a full-on expose about her at some point. Because you can't let people get away with bullying you. And I don't intend to. She thought she was going to bully me and get away with it. She's delusional. She lives in a bubble. I did the story about Johnny Cash, his first wife, Vivian Cash. And she was an Italian-American woman with African-American ancestry. Okay? People debate about whether or not they think she's Black or not. Her daughters are white. Okay? She has 4 daughters with Johnny Cash. They are white. Okay? The rest of her family is white. She's white. She just, her African ancestry genes were popping. Right? And, you know, for people who came to this country and had to fight for their whiteness to try to treat me as less than, that's a joke to me. You just got in the club. That's what the whole story with Johnny Cash and Vivian Cash is about. You just got in the club. Who do you think you are? And her being Sicilian American, her husband's family did to her what she did to me, which was like trying to make me feel like some outsider and like I wasn't good enough. Bitch, I'm better than you'll ever be. What are you talking about? That's why I said, so for people to come over here and be like, you only said about interracial dating. I never say only about interracial dating. I know majority of Black women want to be with Black men, so I wish them well. And my advice is for people in any relationship that they're in. I don't tell people what type of relationships to be in. I tell you guys how difficult it's been for me in an interracial relationship, having to deal with that. I didn't deserve that, you know, but thanks for making me a fighter. Thanks for making me a fighter. Thought I would forget. I remember. It's people that mistreated me in PWIs, mistreated me in foster care. All these people think that I forgot. I don't forget shit. I'm doing exposés on all of y'all. Just sit back and wait. You know, and that's why I will unapologetically tell you guys about these interactions. Again, if people don't want me to, I don't use names because individual people don't matter to me. What matters to me is the experience. And if you didn't want to be a part of the experience, then your ass shouldn't have disrespected me. It's just that simple. People want to talk about something. Why are you talking about it? What you want me to do? Throw hands? What shall I do? Because I'm not going to sit and swallow it. Yeah, I see the generational trauma in my family too. The other day I was having a conversation with my mom and she was talking about how it's okay to struggle with a man. You know, yeah, I've had those conversations with family members, you know. If that's what you think, you know, but it's not going to change my opinion. And my opinion is I can do bad by myself. I'm not going to be in a relationship where I'm not getting what I want. Now, because of, you know, his mother still doesn't grasp the concept that she's been cut off, right? But we haven't seen them in years. We haven't communicated with them in years. I gave them a chance to try to make things right again 2 or 3 years ago. And, you know, they were, the mother is unhinged. Something's wrong with her. You know, and that happens. People have family members like that, you know. My father was a deadbeat. right? He was a deadbeat dad. I'm not going to have him around my husband because he's of low caliber. And my husband deserves to be around people of good company, and my husband's not going to have me around his toxic, unhinged mother, Honestly, at this point, I'm very worried at 28 and never been in a long-term relationship. There's no hope for me. Oh, no, don't feel that way. There is hope. There is hope. Absolutely. Again, it's just about finding that right person. First, you got to find the right person that is you, right? I really believe that. As you're working on yourself and your level up in your journey of self-love and healing and unlearning toxic cultural norms, all these things, as you're on this journey, you're going to begin to radiate in a different way. And you're going to draw people to you, the type of people you deserve. And then you're going to be able to have more options. That's really how it goes, because I've noticed people that had relationships since they were 15, 16 years old. All of a sudden, as they get older, they're having less and less options because they refuse to grow. They refuse to understand why their relationships haven't worked out. You're 28. That's young. That is young. You still have time to continue working on yourself, investing in yourself, and then just going out in the world and being beautiful and letting all the good things come to you, But there's definitely still hope. You can meet someone at work. You can meet someone, in the grocery store. You can certainly meet them at a restaurant while you're out. There's so many different places, right? I would try to put myself around the type of people I want to be around, right? So, maybe, and it's not easy right now because of the panorama situation, right? But definitely just try to socialize more in general and see how that works out for you, I'm glad there are spaces like this to give me better advice. Oh, wonderful, ROA. Absolutely. And like I said, this is the best kept secret on YouTube. It's the best kept secret on YouTube. There's people out on here. They're scammers. They're frauds. They're unhinged. They don't have any experience in what they're talking about. They cannot help you. They can't help you. And that's why people have been watching these people's content for years and they've never been helped. They never get anywhere. Right? I'll be damned. We're going to find solutions over here. And people are going to have a voice. That's important to me. If you're over here, you're going to be able to have a voice. 28 still very, oh, yes, it is, ROA. Are you kidding me? Especially, is you black? Is you black? Because I know you heard of a little thing called black don't crack. Oh, yeah, 28, definitely young. She said 28 young. Oh, goodness. Yes, absolutely. Don't let these toxic, wanting to date young girls, dusties out on here make you feel like 28 is not young. 28 is young. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got so much time. See, this is why some of these channels are toxic. They got people thinking that 28 means you. There we go. There we go. I mean, come on. You've only just begun. You've got so much room. This 28 is a great age, right? Because you're young, but you're getting wiser, more mature, right? Um, it gets better for women in terms of Sessy time. Okay, I call it Sessy time. Sessy time gets better and better for women the older you get. I'm genuinely thankful and appreciative for every year, every day that I have, because um you grow to learn yourself and trust yourself more. And Sessy time is just, it just gets better for women. I don't know about men. I can't help them. They say they peak at 18 or something. That's why they want to play games. Hey, Galactic. Hey, Bloop Bloop. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Um, shit. Um, there's a general thing in society of telling women that they have to achieve a certain amount of things before 30, or what? Or what? Half these dudes not even making money until they 40. We can't even have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, the income that you'll be working with at 30, 35, 40 is a lot different than, when you're in your 20s. So how can that be the best time of your life? You know what I'm saying? They do such a disservice in this society by making women feel like they have to have everything they want to accomplish in life at 30. No way. Especially, again, black don't crack. We got plenty of time. Again, these are the crazy tactics that they use so that women don't get an equal playing field when it comes to relationships. I mean, there's just no reason. I get hit on the same amount that I did in my 20s, if not more, you know? And unlike my 20s, now I know how to handle it, right? So just everything that happens to you, right? As you get older, you learn how to be able to handle things more. Life doesn't necessarily get easier, but you get stronger. And that's one of the blessings of getting older. And I'm going to always tell you guys this. I lost my mother before she turned 40 years old. All right? Before my mother turned 40 years old, she had passed away. No, there's so much for us out there. Y'all see how great Sanaa Lathan looks? She's 50 years old. And she gonna be bagging dudes for, so it's such a joke to imply that you could only have fun in your 20s, or that everything has to be, you're just learning yourself in your 20s. And the reality is, you're not going to be able to really get there where you want to be until you get older and mature. So allow yourself that. and really understand that if you're 28, you are young. So many people say these old rappers like Tupac are icons and aren't like modern rappers. Old rappers and modern rappers are all trash. They all disrespect and degrade women at the end of the day. I used to like that song, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard that song in a long time. Let me play this song. And I was listening and I was like, my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no other group of women have to listen to something like this. And like know that it's like directed towards them to like keep them in check and keep them in line. It's degrading. It really is. And it's been that way for a very long time. And then the audacity of these men to be on here playing the victim, talking about some, hey, Maury Povich and Ricky Lake and Sarah Jesse Raphael, Jenny Jones. Like, come on, dude. We used to watch those shows. It was a lot of rowdy teens. You, Danielle Bregoli, you think that Cash Me Outside Girl was bad. You should have seen some of them teens on Jenny Jones. They wasn't even teens. They're like, I'm 5 years old and I do what I want when I want. I was like, what the? That was what most of the episodes were. Like, these dudes are delusional. Nobody was talking about y'all. Y'all was talking about us. Y'all was talking about Black women. Instead of trying to get a coin off of degrading Black women, because if Black women are being degraded, then no one's looking at y'all. Wasn't nobody talking about y'all 24/7 like that? Stop. But you can't talk about them at all, right? They want to tell you if you in an interracial relationship, what you talking about us for? Do y'all not approach me every day? What you mean, what am I talking about you for? Y'all don't leave me alone. What you talking about? As if somehow, if you date interracially or you do things that the community doesn't want you to do, as if all of a sudden you're no longer Black. Like I said, I'm way too Black to care about anybody saying that to me. Sorry if you already told the story, but how did you know your husband had the qualities you needed? Why didn't he have the resources to prevent you and him from living with his parents? Yo, I'm going to ask him that tonight. I'm like, why? We're going to be at dinner. I'm going to be like, why didn't you have the resources to make sure we didn't have to live with your parents? Okay. You know what? Again, I mean, I think I just told you guys, but I'll reiterate. We were both transitioning out of grad school. So, I can't remember who just said that they were in college, right? But when you're in college, we weren't in undergrad. We weren't that young, but we were both in grad school. And it was just a hard time. It was actually during a bit of a depression that America was having. So there was like no jobs, it was a depression. It was the recession, actually. So there was a recession going on at that time in America. Again, we've been together for 11 years, and this was like 10 years ago. So yeah, we were young. We were struggling to pay the rent. He didn't have, he wasn't rich. That's the God's honest truth. He had more, I knew he was going to be the man that he is today. Right? So we met in undergrad, and I knew he was very smart. I'm a sapiosexual. I like smart men. I knew he was very smart, and the things that he was interested in, which is engineering, that stuff makes a lot of money. He went on to get his MBA, right? So he excels in engineering and computers and business, right? So these are all things that if a man has degrees in, he's gonna be making a good amount of money. So I knew that. And when we started dating, I knew he would go on to have a good job. What I didn't know was how long it would take before that happened, right? So it ended up, because we were in a recession, it took us a little bit longer to find jobs because we were both in Rochester, where his family lived, and then we had to move back to New York. We moved to Rochester so that we could live together while he was finishing his last year of grad school, because I didn't want to not be with him, basically. So that was a major part of it. I could have just stayed in New York and like done my own thing, but we wanted to live together because we were young and in love, right? And so we moved back, try to make it work where we were at in our hometown. And then, it just was too much with him being in school and not making money. So as he was graduating, we lived with his parents as he was graduating, and we were looking for jobs back in New York so we can move back to New York. But yeah. So that's how I knew he had the qualities, right? Because again, I'm a sapiosexual. I like smart men. When we started dating, I like looked around his like bedroom, his parents' bed. He lived on campus, but he also had his like bedroom back at his parents' house, right? And I was looking around his bedroom. I was looking for things from other women, right? Because if you go into a guy's bedroom, you might find old love letters, old pictures, stuff like that from other women. So I was looking for that, and I didn't find any. And that's when I was like, okay, no baggage. I like that. And then again, like, he's very smart. So he's one of the smartest men I've ever met. And I just knew he was going to be successful. I mean, it's just common sense because of what he was majoring in, right? What he got his degrees in, what he spent his life doing. He's actually, he's known how to code and work with computers, right, since he was a child. So I knew that he would be the greatest guy that he is. And again, we met when we were in undergrad. I've known him since I was 19, right? So I was a lot more lenient, certainly back then, because I was younger, than I would be today. Okay. And I have to give you guys advice based on who I am today and what I've learned today. I wouldn't necessarily say, I would definitely say, I'm not a person that's like, he's gotta buy me Birkin bags and all that. I'm not that kind of person. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is a man that understands his responsibilities, a man that understands he's to provide and protect his wife and children, stuff like that. So, like I said, I knew he would get a job. It took a little longer than we thought, but after we made it out of that rough couple of months, it's been pretty well ever since, right? So like ever since he got a job, he's always, and even when he didn't, and I was working as a waiter, that's what people don't get, when they'll be like, oh, you're just with him for his money. I'm like, for a year I worked and he was in school and I was the one making the money, right? And there's a woman out there on TikTok or something, and she's the breadwinner and her husband's in school, right? And if he's in school and he's going to make money eventually, then that's something that you can work with. You're not going to feel like, oh, like I didn't feel like I didn't buy him Jordans during that time. I helped pay our bills, which was, as soon as he got a job, that never happened again. I mean, not that I didn't help pay the bills, but I never felt like it was like my responsibility. Like my husband always made it clear, like this is my responsibility. Even when I was working, he was in school, so it's a young person rough patch. I didn't expect him to be rich. I expected to have more money than any guy I was with, because that's how I grew up, was knowing that when you're a Black woman, you make the majority of the money, right? And so I would say things to him too, to like imply this. And he was like, what are you talking about? Because he grew up, women didn't work, right? His mother didn't work. His grandmother didn't work. He grew up, men provide for women. I grew up, women provide for men, right? So he quickly taught me, no, men provide for women, right? But yeah, that was definitely one of those patches that was rough. But still, even during that, like I said, he made me feel protected, and he did everything he could for me, you know. So every bit of money he had, just to be honest, he spent, taking care of me. So, including letting me stay like at his parents' house. That's not something that, people have to do. You're only dating for a few years, right? So he didn't know, you know, he didn't know what his parents were going to be like. He didn't know his mother was going to respond, because I'm his first girlfriend. He was my first boyfriend officially. We had dated other people, but we had never done anything official with anyone else. So we were each other's first official boyfriend and girlfriend. He had no idea that his mother would act that way. He just had no idea, because he had never brought a girl home. And it's sad because she ruined her relationship with her son and she played herself. That's how my family does me, get mad at me for how they look in my world on my channel. They even told me, the older mammies, I should get their permission to discuss the right. Yeah. They're like, why are you talking about us? What you gonna do about it? What are you going to do about it? I ain't gonna do a damn thing. Because if you play with me, I'm gonna play with you. And y'all don't want that. So I was like, why are you talking about me? I never said a name. Nobody knows who you are. They don't know who you are in the real world. They don't know who you are here. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares. But you're not going to do shit to me and then think you can escape and get away with it. That's what I'm talking about it. Now, pull up. Pull up. somebody in the comment section was like, they called me Section 6 or something instead of Section 8. They were like, oh, why are you yelling like this is Section 6 or something like that, and I was like, you're clearly speaking from experience, because I live in a gated community. That's why I jokingly say pull up, because you can't pull up. You can't get past security where I live. Okay? So it's so funny when people are trying to like play people. They love to tell Black women, you're bitter, you're single, and you're broke. No, that's your life, not mine. Okay? And I won't even respond like that half the time, because I'm like, I know that the people saying this are broke and I'm not. So like, it's like trying to be nice, but don't play yourself. I appreciate honesty. A lot of people don't live the lives they say that they do. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to lie about it, because it happened. It happened, and it wasn't right how they treated me. It's very difficult being divested, and when you divest, you have to divest from men and women who want to hold you back. You have to divest from friends, family, environments that expect you to mammy and mule. And there are people on here who have a glorified idea of what that all means, but they don't really know much about it because they don't live it, right? So there are benefits, there are tons of benefits, but not everything is perfect. There's going to be downsides. Definitely living with his family was a downside. Dealing with both of our toxic families of origin, that's been a downside. You know, yes, I'm black. I still look young. All right, that's what's up. Yeah, 20 is a great age because you're young and also have way more independence. Now is the time to learn strategy and use that time as best as you can. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to encourage you guys. I had a lot of depression during that time in my life because of a lot to do with um, me letting people misuse and take advantage of me, abuse from narcissistic families of origin, and me not knowing how to handle that, living and struggling in New York before we got married. The 20s were tough. And I just feel blessed to have made it out, to be honest, and that's why I want you guys, I want ladies, fellas, whoever's watching, I want you all to know that I think that life will get better as you get older because, again, your wisdom and maturity will help you to be able to deal with things better than you are when you're in your 20s. And it's a very weird time, especially your early to mid 20s. This is a lot of responsibility, and you don't really feel a lot of benefits, certainly not financially, right? So just try to always make it through. Um, don't let depression rob you of your 20s. That's what I really want to implore all my younger uh, watchers, right? Viewers, Steelies, whatever, right? I want to implore you, don't let depression, because I felt like depression robbed me of a lot of my time in my 20s, I grew up being told that because I was dark skinned, that I wasn't wanted, and I wasn't, you know, um, beautiful and all that stuff, right? And I couldn't get over that. In my 20s, people would tell me that I was beautiful, and I was like, I was so committed to following the script of who other people told me that I was. Don't let them do that to you. That's why I talk about intuition on this channel, and following your intuition and following your instincts, listening to your voice, not some voice of indoctrination from the media, from your parents, from your family of origin, from friends, school, whatever. I'll see people on here and on social media, adults in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and when I talk about racism in school, please keep in mind, I'm talking about my undergraduate and graduate school experiences in PWI. I also went to PWI in elementary school. I'm never talking about that. Like, the least you can do is heal from your childhood experiences. The fact that people still carry, even I've had people from my family of origin be like, when we were a kid, you did this. You're going to have to move on from that. Okay? You're going to have to move on from that. You're going to have to heal from what happened to you as a kid. You can't keep using that as an excuse. Um, So I gotta get going. So I hear my husband like walking around, ready to go. We gotta walk our dog and get dinner going. But don't, it's not a badge of honor to carry trauma. Find a way to heal it and let it go. You know, one of the things that I did, and that's why I talk about on this channel, because I'm proud of myself for doing that, is I called and confronted people who had abused me when I was younger, right? Like I said, you want me to call, you want me to roll up. So I called and had very difficult conversations with people, but that helped me in my healing. That's stuff other people don't want to do. If you can call somebody up and say, hey, I want to hold you accountable for what you did, you need to do that. Because adulthood is tough enough. You're going to have enough problems to walk around carrying the trauma of childhood. You know, if I see one more person talk about African booty scratcher, I'm going to fucking go insane. Oh, yeah, the kids called me African booty. The kids will say anything. What are you talking about? These kids. You can't seriously be walking around broken and stressed and hurt because kids called you African booty scratcher, which comes from a movie, Boys in the Hood. That's where it comes from. The movie was made in the early 90s. That's where it comes from. That's why you heard it. It's not because of something that Americans are trying to do to, I got called African booty scratcher. And when I went to school, the Black American kids were the poorest Black kids in the school. The international foreign Black kids, first generation, second generation, what have you, their families had more money. So nobody was even making fun of them. Nobody even called them that. And meanwhile, I was called it. And I'm not like, you gonna call me that? No, I don't care. I don't care. That's because that's what kids do. Kids say the darndest things. You ever heard of that? Kids say the darndest things. Stop using African booty scratch. Like, move along. Let that go. I can't stand to see that. It's crazy. It's from Boys in the Hood. It's from a movie. Kids used it on the playground. Yeah, they did. It didn't have anything to do with where you were from. Because if they went to school with white people, they probably would have called them that too. They didn't go to school with white people. So, again, be happy for your age. Be happy for growing and maturing, and let go of the things from your childhood past, including feeling the need to live your life the way your family wants you to. I let that go. That's for children. Tricks are for kids. You want somebody to do what you say, go tell your kid to do what you say. Because I'm off that, you know? And I thank God for the wisdom and maturity to know that I can look somebody in the face and say, I guarantee you I'm off that. I guarantee you. That comes with wisdom and maturity. And only age can give you that. You have to be thankful for every year. I know I am. I know I am. Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, Danie, you look amazing. You also look like, aw. Aw, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we made it. We made it. We made it through the storm. And I feel like I made it. The purpose that I feel that I have to help spread message of empowerment, you know what I'm saying? Just feeling like I have a greater purpose than to care about the opinions of others. Thank God I was able to get wiser and more mature and understand that other people's opinions don't matter. Thank God. Unless they're beautiful, wonderful opinions. Thank you. Right? I'm sitting here like, your mom was toxic, yet we had to live with her, but I'm glad it worked out. Right. He knew that his mom was not the greatest. But again, he had no idea that she was going to behave the way that she did. Even his father said, I've never seen anything like it. She's split up their whole family because she's a spoiled old Karen. Tragic. This is my family over here, so we good. I don't need to see none of y'all. Y'all not my family. And he don't care. So it is what it is. Men behave to these things differently. Men don't care. So for her to be ranting and raving like an unhinged Karen about, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, meanwhile, he's a guy. He doesn't care. I don't care because you're not my family and I don't know you and I don't like you. So you're just wasting your life. Yeah, like I said, he knew she was annoying to him, but he had no idea that she would actually behave this way and worse. And he's been, he's just tried to be as respectful as he can, but finally got to the point where he was like, you know what? We're done. And that's been years now. So I think 28 is your Saturn return. So you go through a transformation. I know I did. My 20s were a lot. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your 20s, you want to talk about feeling and unraveling, definitely. And I'm just starting to feel better again this year from the 20s. Okay, it's tough. I really like your phrase family of origin. It's given me a different perspective of life. As a Nigerian, family is a big thing, so people expect you to put up with a lot just because you're related. Exactly. You can't do it. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy we teach people how to treat us. And that's actually a psychological term, family of origin. I didn't create it personally. It's a psychological term for people to understand who these people are. That's who they are. They're family of origin. And if you want to stay family, then you have to respect people the way you want them to respect you. When things started getting heated with me and my estranged siblings from my family of origin, it was, oh, we family. Oh, now we family? No, we not. Oh, we family. Y'all already know how I roll. You're family of origin. Take care. Take care of yourselves. I'm Cameroonian and Black American. Childhood healing is my goal now. Yes. Look, if I don't see none of you again, it is what it is. My great grandmother raised me. I'm gonna see her when I get to heaven, when I get to the pearly gates. I don't know about the rest of you. Y'all didn't make my life happy no way. I had to be honest. I had to start being honest. Stop missing people who don't miss you. Stop feeling bad about people who don't feel bad about what they've done to you. Accept people for who they are. I accept people for who they are. That's why I don't get mad at people, because I accept people for who they are. And if you're trash, you're trash. If you don't know how to act, you don't know how to act. You're not going to be around me. You're not going to be around me if you don't know how to act, but go ahead. Act a fool. You're not going to be around me acting a fool, but act a fool. I know that's your behavior. I expect it of you, but I could no longer. And this is the things that I try to tell you guys about following these YouTubers and social media people who want you to hate anyone. You can have discernment on how to find a good man without hating men. There's no point. That's way too much energy. At that point that you're hating someone, you've already done too much. You've already given them too much power. You've already given away too much of your energy. So it's so interesting that a lot of these influencers were telling people, oh, well, y'all calling them this and that, and y'all don't want to talk to the men. I'm trying to talk to the men, and I talk to men all the time on my channel. It is what it is. That's fine, especially the respectful ones. That's not a problem because I never established hating men of any sort on my channel. But there are people out there that are encouraging and telling y'all to hate. And then when you do it, talk about something, oh, look at y'all over there hating. Why are you so full of hate? Because that's how a lot of these influencers make their money, is making y'all hate. And then see, because it was all a game to them to get money, they're going to be on their way and you're going to be wrecked. I've come across people who have listened to people telling them to hate, dislike, not be around, right? I heard one woman, she was talking about her dad. And the influencer was like, her dad is a black man, right? And the influencer was like trying to rip black men apart, right? And it's like, that's her dad. I'm not trying to rip anybody apart, rip anybody's family apart. I'm trying to tell you is no matter what, you got to put yourself first. And you can do that without having hatred for people. I don't hate any of these people that I'm talking about. I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't like anything about them. I don't. But hatred takes too much effort. And it's not conducive to your healing journey. Now, that doesn't mean y'all already see how I roll over here. It ain't got to be over here for more than 2 minutes to understand. I'm not going to tolerate fools. I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. But to hate you means I have to think about you. I don't like to waste my time thinking about negative people and their toxicity. So we do a lot of the healing work over here because that's what's helped me. That's why I'm able to talk to you guys right now. The extensive amount of healing work that I've done to overcome life being very hard and mean. Yes, African and African American culture doesn't encourage mental health and healing. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I talked about toxic cultural norms on here. And I really appreciate all the women coming over from the diaspora and giving their experiences as well, because what you're showing us is exactly that. There is a problem throughout the diaspora when it comes to mental health, when it comes to differentiating yourself between yourself and your family. Your family wants you, they want to control who you date and they want to control. But when it comes to my happiness, oh, that's not your problem, right? But you want to control who I'm laying up with? You're not going to do it. I don't care how you feel about it. And there's not enough emphasis on healthy mental health because people would rather perpetuate these toxic cultural norms that tell Black women to put themselves last. And when you have them doing that, then you want to say, oh, look at them yelling at the kids. They're mad. They're angry. Well, that's what happens when you perpetually put yourself last. You're going to become an angry person. Then they don't want to deal with you, right? Now you angry. Now they looking for preferences. And that's your fault too. If you don't start to love yourself and open your options and heal and move on with your life, I've completely given up on my husband's family being who I hoped they would be, my origin family. I completely gave up on that. And I just accept people for who they are. And I don't have any expectations of other people. I know my boundaries. I know what I'm going to put up with and what I'm not going to put up with because I know my boundaries. But if you're living in your car, bruh, if you want to hook up with this bum, sis, whatever y'all want to do, go ahead and do it. You know? Because people were mad at me because I'm living my life, and now they have to question how they move. That's on you. I don't question how I move based on your bummy ass life. That's on you. Let people, it has to go back to the people that it goes back to. If someone abused you when you were a child, that's on them. That's not on you. You don't have to sit across from them on Thanksgiving. You have the right to be angry. You have the right to how you feel about things. Stop letting these people control that. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. I mean, sometimes you'll think like, oh, I hate this person, and then you do your healing work and you realize, oh, actually, this person doesn't fucking matter. They actually just don't matter. Wow, what a relief. I thought I actually cared about this person. Because if you care, you're going to waste energy and time on them. Right? So healing's always the goal. I probably won't see you guys this weekend. If you're on my Patreon, make sure that you are aware and watching out for new videos coming to y'all this weekend. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Please like and subscribe. And I really heart you guys. You guys are amazing. You are the best space on YouTube. I don't care what anybody says. This is a real space with real people that are just amazing, beautiful people. I appreciate y'all. Purple hearts. And I'll see you guys next time. No problem, ROA. That's totally fine. Happens. Have a good night. Mwah.